This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get out of the kitchen.
Yes.
So the person who is feeling too hot right now should step out of the kitchen.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it because now suddenly all eyes are peeled on Parliament. But before we get there, let's Dennis tell us about a proverb and he'll tell you where it's from and maybe ask you what you think the people from that country are called.
Yeah. We are in Guinea-Bissau. What do you think the people of Guinea-Bissau are called?
Wow.
Kenya, Kenyans. Ghana, Ghanaians. Uganda, Ugandans. Guinea-Bissau.
They can be guinea pigs, so...
Okay.
They're called Bissau Guineans.
that's...
Yesterday we thought it is Guinea-Bissauans, but now we've been corrected. Now, one thing that stands out with Guinea-Bissau is the fact that it's an archipelago. So they have over 80 islands that makes the country unique to what it is. But in Kenya, you see hippos, Lake Victoria, maybe you go to Tana River, freshwater bodies. But in Guinea-Bissau, they swim in salt water. Unique things in Guinea-Bissau. But the proverb we get today, the drum sounds loudest to the one who carries it. The drum sounds loudest to the one who carries it. How would you interpret it?
Well, first and foremost, it's literal. Because it is true that it sounds loudest to the person who beats it. But then I guess... in our context, because you have to always interpret things from where you are. So what would that mean to this regime of ours that maybe even when they are proposing all these bad things and the lies are being told around them, they're the ones who are believing the lies more than the rest of us. So I think basically it means that the person who's nearest to whatever the source tends to be the... how do I put it? It's complex, but I guess what I've said would explain my understanding of it. Yeah. That if you're the one in the middle of any matter, your understanding might be very different from the ones outside. Because when you're there where the lies are being cooked, you believe them more than the person who will receive them after several parties. Just like the person who's far from the drum will not hear the exact same beat as the person who's nearest.
Yes.
Yeah, so in this case, I think Kenya Kwanza are creating lies in their boardrooms and think that we are going to digest those lies. Yeah.
Because we are far from the lies.
Because we are far, we are far. We know
far from the center.
We are far from the center.
Well said, well interpreted.
Very well interpreted. Okay, so let's look into it. The Standard is calling it a tax bill rebellion. And we've seen that in Parliament, and it's interesting because across the National Assembly and the Senate, there have been certain things that are coming up. But we know that at the end of the day, the National Assembly is then responsible for legislation. And this is one of the big ones, that whether this finance bill will become Finance Act, and that will then spur things on. July 1st is coming real quick. But in the House yesterday, there was speaker after speaker, well, not the speaker, but, members of parliament who came out very clearly to say certain things cannot go. They've been called punitive taxes. They're accusing the finance bill, or rather the Treasury, of bearing higher costs in technical taxes, pushing the bill through parliament without adequate scrutiny. Let's go overall before we go into the details that there seems to be quite some dissatisfaction, and when it comes to legislatively, members of parliament seem to be showing their teeth now where it comes to, we will reject this if you don't fix this. So it's not throw it out, it's fix this. Where does it sit with you as the leader, as the deputy minority leader, of course leading in some of these debates? Where is that?
Yeah, thank you. Now, first and foremost, maybe we need to look at Kenya from history. And, we've had very contentious bills, brought to this house by this current regime. So unlike previous years, the scrutiny has become more thorough. Because from 2023, when they really, really burdened Kenyans, it has forced us to be, to look more critically at it, whatever proposals they bring to the House. And you remember 2024 when the same regime brought some, very punitive tax measures. And what happened is that members of parliament, in their usual, laissez-faire and relaxed manner, insisted on passing them, even despite our objections, because they say let the minority have their say, but the majority have their way. So they had their way. Unfortunately, and this is one of the things that I keep asking members to be wary of, when Kenyans in their numbers went to the streets and said, now enough is enough, we are not allowing parliament to be the one that is holding brief for us, because under Article 1 they can take over their rights. The same president who had been pushing that agenda, withdrew it in full glare of media, and the same members who had been the ones fighting us and passing it stood up to cheer him. And I said, what a contradiction. What a problem we have as a country. When will members of parliament stand up to be counted? Now, and there's some things I even want to get out of the table early. See, the other day when I was making my contribution, I think I must have touched a raw nerve.
Is it?
Because when I started my contribution, I said they are draconian. I said the bills are punitive. And I think that when I said they are, a knee on the neck of Kenyans, so Kenyans can't breathe, I think now that was a straw that broke the camel's back. So they decided that the honorable member for Kathiani will not speak.
Yes.
Now, you see, in parliamentary debate, the bills go through 3 steps. The first one is what we call the first reading, where the clerk just reads the bill and says this is a bill of an act of parliament meant to do 1, 2, 3, and then that's it. Then the second reading, where now members will debate. Having gone through the bill, now you debate. What are your views about whatever is contained in the bill. Now, every member has an opportunity. You'll be given maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Sometimes we shorten the time to even 3 minutes. But everybody gets the opportunity to make a contribution. Right. Now, at the end of that, and you see, there are those that will be proposing, and there are those that will be opposing. I mean, even debates in schools are simply done the same way. But you see now, what they decided is that they'll make it impossible for us to be able to contribute, and the easiest way is to interrupt constantly, which is even against our standing orders. But you see, when the person presiding over the assembly at that time is leaning towards one of the sides, clearly you can see in the actions that they will take. So constant interruptions are allowed when I was speaking. And therefore, that meant that they are eating into my time. Right. I have 10 points I want to address. If you take half my time, then I'll end up addressing 2 or 3. So,
and on the record, which is the Hansard, on the record, it would be that, well, you only brought out 2 issues.
Yes.
And so those are not substantive enough to move a particular motion. Is that what we're saying?
And to let people know, why am I opposing the bill? Because a student said I am opposing it.
Okay.
So if you constantly interrupt me, it means I don't have the time to articulate what I would like to. And therefore, what I had planned to say will not be said. But what they will do is this. They will stand up and, like what the majority leader did, is say, you tell us a clause. Now, I want you to understand this. This bill, the finance bill, is 124 pages. It is, and you can imagine if some of the pages have like 5-10 paragraphs. So we are talking almost 1,000 paragraphs. But over and above that, note this, that the finance bill is never read alone. You read the finance bill against the Tax Procedures Act. You read it against the VAT Act. You read it against the Miscellaneous Fees and Levies Act. You read it, the other acts of parliament that are being amended. You see, the finance bill is a conglomerate that puts them together and brings tax measures for the country for that period of time. So it has a lot of other laws. So for you to start quoting a clause, you would have to pull out the other acts, and then it will take you time. If you have a 124-page document, I mean, unless you are still a student in class, And this is not like the Constitution. See, the Constitution is a document that you interact with all the time. So I can quickly just quote that this article is found here. But this is a law that is not easy. It's not like any other law.
Yeah.
So because it keeps changing, it keeps shifting every year.
Yeah.
So for someone to tell you, quote the clause that says that, it means that if you start looking for that clause, your time is running. So you say quickly, no, let me withdraw this so that I can prosecute my matter. And then they quickly, and I'm very happy because they quickly pick that and say, oh, the honorable member was lying. Yet what I said is that there is taxation on mitumba. It is there in the bill.
Yeah.
It is there in the bill. And then they proceed further, excuse me, they proceed further to even explain it. The chair of the committee explained it. The leader of majority explained it. The people that are in that industry went before the committee to give their grievances and their complaints and to ask for the favor they were seeking. And somebody says, no, tell us. And they will run around saying, no, this team is lying. The people who are cheating Kenyans is the Kenya Kwanza regime, and in particular the team that is now supporting this finance.
I mean, Robert, you're bringing in something that is very critical, because I'm looking at the leadership of the House, where then the Speaker is a referee pretty much, who's supposed to be bipartisan, who is supposed to ensure that every single member prosecutes their matter before the floor of the House and is heard and supports their arguments on the floor of the House.
Yes.
But here we're talking about where every member is bound to a specific timeline to prosecute their matter. And there is a lot of distraction through standing orders, which again goes against the standing orders. Where then is... How then are members of parliament able to prosecute their matters where there is no fairness in the prosecution of the matter?
You see, that's a tragedy, and that's why some of us, like when I said this, I said, you know what, I can see these interruptions are eating into my time. So for me to proceed, I will withdraw and substantiate later. But then they'll run around with that and say, no, the honorable member, deputy leader, confirmed that he was lying. I mean, and Kenyans can read the bill. It's on clause 31. The bill is there. It is published. It is online. So, and even if sometimes even I find people a bit. Even if you Google, because there are all these AI tools that interpret these things, they will indicate to you exactly what the position is. So I feel that sometimes the House is held hostage. And now, when you now finish your second reading, and my argument is this: if a member is on their feet contributing, listen keenly to what they are saying, so that you can have a counter argument when you get your opportunity. Do not keep interrupting, because then you make the debate very, very cheap. If you have to stand there, in 2015, I was among the few members that were fortunate, I would say, to be given an opportunity to contribute to the business laws. The business laws bill, which is now an act of parliament, had, I think the document, I don't even know the number of pages. The document itself was like almost 10 times or 20 times what we are seeing as a finance bill. Well over 1,000 pages. And those of us who were given opportunity to contribute were told to contribute for 3 hours. So each of us got 3 hours to contribute. So you can imagine within your 3 hours, if you've been given 3 hours because the content is that voluminous, and then someone tells you, no, you tell us which clause that one is. Can you imagine going to that document and starting to read through to look for a clause? So I think sometimes it's just mischief how they operate. Now, what happens is that after you finish your second reading, you will put the question on that matter. Then you go to third reading, or rather, you go to the committee of the whole House. The third reading is just a confirmation that the bill is now law. And members will now just vote for it. But in the committee of the whole House, you go through that bill clause by clause. So the matter of tell us a clause, that is a matter that comes on committee of the whole House, which I think we are starting today.
Is it a time wasting? Is it a time wasting tactic?
Yes, that one I was saying, to quote the clause. There is nowhere in debate that you're supposed to be quoting clauses, because these clauses, we are addressing them today in the committee of the whole House. So we'll start from the first clause up to the last one.
And
so
at
this point, then we will discuss every one of these items and what it means, our interpretation, their interpretation, our dissatisfaction, their satisfaction, and at the end of the day, we will put it to vote.
So that's why, and that was important, I think, for you to then explain why the first reading takes place, why the second reading takes place, and the third reading takes place. Because the understanding is that during the session of the first reading, this thing where people are saying quote the clause, all of that would have been understood as to where certain things are said and the manner in which they're said. So in debate, there would be no reason for anybody to quote a clause.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you an example. I mean, a member would stand up on their feet, when they are debating the finance bill, and we'll talk about the budget, and we'll say, we are raising, we want to raise 120 billion. Others would say they want to raise 90 billion. Now, if you stand up and say, show me where it is written, it's nowhere nowhere. It is known that it is intending to raise this much money. It is also known that we are raising money to support the budget. So there are certain things. So when it comes to debate, you open up so that people can speak their facts. I mean, I would have even told them that this finance bill is taxing Kenyans' basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter, and demonstrate. This government will even tax oxygen. And even anyone told me to substantiate, I can look for the law that deals with carbon credits and tell them that is how they're stealing from us. So it is possible for a member to articulate any matter, as long as, because you also have parliamentary privilege. But then when they want to play mischief and they want to delay you and to deny you an opportunity to contribute, then they will stand up on points of order on every sentence, everything you say. And it happens to me a lot. Watch, anytime they see me on my feet, everybody stops what they are doing on the other side to watch and to wait for an opportunity for me to say something they disagree with. In Parliament, you're not supposed to agree with me. What I'm saying is not supposed to be making you happy. I'm telling you what I think, what I believe, so that when you get your chance, even if you're the majority leader, whoever you are, wait for your chance. Then now you can say, now the honorable member say these are the facts. You give your facts as I give mine. And then when we meet in a committee of the whole house, we can go through clause by clause and we interpret it together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Robert, you started by pointing out what happened in 2024, where the House passed the finance bill at the time, 2024. The president it was become an act of parliament. But then again, we find ourselves today pretty much on the same position where many Kenyans are asking, as this bill is presented on the floor of the House, do members of Parliament know exactly what is entailed in that document? Or are many just supporting it because our party leader and our party say, this is our bill and it must pass? Because if it went to the president, he rejected it and we clapped, yet we were pushing for it to pass. Did we really understand the details in there? Are we likely to look at the same situation this time around?
Actually, now you just confirmed that, the interesting thing is that even those things that are punitive, the members that will vote for it are aware. They know. And the thing is, what you've just said is a fact that the Parliament has been captured by the executive. So the executive wants something passed. If they want to pass a law that we hang our mothers, we'll be the only ones saying, no, this is not right. Because there seems to be something that happens when you're in government. I don't know why, but there seems to be a tendency for Parliament to believe that anything that comes from the executive is okay. Now, the purpose of Parliament is to oversight the executive. Together, whether I'm in minority and you're in majority, we are supposed to do the same job. That is what the Constitution, how it defines us. It actually puts us together. But even in the US, it's the same thing. You find that those in the majority side or on the side that is forming government will always support government agenda, whether sometimes the government agenda goes against common good many times, because there's some raft of tax proposals that you look and see these things are going to hurt a certain cadre of people. And you have concerns about them. But just the fact that you're on the side supporting the government, you want to pretend or close your eyes and let it be. So I think it's an issue of you have voted probably, and I want to give them credit for that. You voted in UDA. President is UDA. He says he gave a manifesto, so you feel you have to support it. But there are times when it becomes punitive to the people you represent. So you have to make a choice between the people and the executive. Because the governments are formed to try and take money from all of us. And if any government is allowed, they will take everything. They will even take your salary and give you small change and tell you survive on that. The rest of the money we need it to build roads and do all sorts of things for you. But what even annoys us mostly is that much as the governments in Kenya take a lot of money, you still find yourself paying for basic services. You know that you should be getting if you're highly taxed. Kenyans are highly taxed. So you expect free medical care, you expect free education, you expect all our roads to be in good shape, you expect our education to be, So basically there's a lot of stuff that is not getting done right because the money is taken and it is lost.
Right.
I did be in a situation, and I want to say I did be in a situation where even after you're taxed, you can see how your taxes are working for you. Then maybe even the resistance that we have would be would be less. But you tax us excessively, you are borrowing excessively, and we are not seeing value for that money. And that's why we have to have a fight with them.
So some of these arguments or some of these debates, factors of this debate that we saw yesterday, and I guess you'll tell us what we're likely to see today, is that they're saying, okay, well, they're not saying toss the folks who are registering opposition to this are not saying toss the whole thing out completely, but they're saying that there's some things that come on that don't make sense, that some of these are punitive, and that you should be able to either reduce the number or dismiss that an issue, an increment here or there, or a tax that doesn't make sense. So basically saying, rework this thing so that the people that we represent can then, live a little bit easier in the country. What is the likelihood that some of these arguments against some of the factors within this bill will actually be taken into consideration and then reworked? No. Because today is the 18th of June. This all should kick in by the 1st of July.
I think they want to finish it today.
How is that possible?
All indications are that this thing most likely. I mean, the reason why when the majority says that they want to, the majority side says they are proposing that we have a sitting today morning, and they say priority government business. What is that? I mean, it's I think, and then it's already in the order paper that the finance bill will actually be tabled for committee of the whole house. So you can imagine you finished debate yesterday and it was finished prematurely.
Yeah.
I mean, the house had over 50 members queuing to contribute to this motion. And then one member wakes up, is very notorious for that, wakes up and says, and whatever article in the standing order, we ask that the mover be called to reply. That basically means stop debate, let's vote. And so we say, no, let's continue the debate, because let's hear as many opinions as possible, so that by the time we get to the tail end and put it to a vote, Kenyans have had the different opinions. You can say your bit, we say our bit. But you see, when people are scared of the truth coming out, they will be in a rush to put the vote. Because you don't want people to hear the opinions, or at least I had over 20 members still queuing, waiting to give their version of their understanding of the bill. So they're looking and they're saying, this. Wait a minute, so-and-so hasn't spoken, so-and-so, these people, when they speak, they're going to poke holes in this bill. So the best thing to do is hurry up the process. And like I said yesterday, because we went to castigate that action, and we said, members of parliament, Kenyans are paying members of parliament very well. Very, very well. Kenyan members of parliament are very well paid.
Yep.
And everybody knows, every Kenyan citizen knows that. Why then would you go and abscond your responsibility of debating? Because Kenyans will want to hear you and see what your opinion is and see what you stand for. So two things happen. One, you deny Kenyans an opportunity to hear your opinions when you quickly rush it to a vote. And secondly, you deny Kenyans an opportunity to know how you have voted. So it's an acclamation, and then it's over. People want to know, how did Mbui vote? They heard me, yes, they know I opposed. But there's so many members that they don't know whether they supported or opposed. Now, because they want to, and this is normally the trick, and it's good for you to know, because they don't want to go in on record as having supported. so that when they go to their villages, they can go and say, you know me, I didn't support. So because they don't want that, they would rather rush the process. And that's why they waited until they looked and saw we were not very many in the house, on my members on my side, and they quickly asked for the mover to reply. That meant that even as we stand to force a division which requires over 30 members, we are around 30, 31. And then the head count is done by the, I don't know who did the head count, because the easiest way to confirm the number, because we are seated all over, we are not together. Some members, one member at that corner. We could have just simply said 1, 2, 3, and then we get to the last person and say, this is a number. But somebody purports to have counted. You're told, no, you are 14. The next minute, no, you're 27. As long as the number is below 30, so that we cannot have enough to force a division, that was the intention.
That was and that was what would carry the day.
Yes, because, I mean, I've seen this happen in the past. You pass a finance bill, and I'll tell you about the 2023 finance bill. It introduced something they call e-teams. E-teams, which is a system of, invoicing, electronic tax invoicing system, which means for you to trade with any business that pays taxes, you have to be registered under e-teams. Now, farmers in Moranga had a meeting with the members of parliament then, and KRA. And KRA told them, you know what, you're all supposed to register so you can sell your avocado. And they were up in arms. The members, they said, no. Come, wait a minute. This is not what we passed.
But how is that on the ground?
Imagine. And that is exactly what I told them on the floor of the House. So they don't want to hear opinions.
Came out to play later.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to take a quick break. And then to come and hear then, what are we going to see will happen? If we're saying that government business essentially is going to be rushed today to then essentially finish with this, then what does that mean for some of these key provisions for which the debate is arising? The Honourable Robert Mbui is with us in studio today. We're taking a quick break to look at what's going on with traffic. We'll be back after this.
This is the Situation Room.
As important as this, how then do you get to the place whereby you don't have overwhelming numbers to then push for certain things into legislature? How have you dealt with that challenge? Because it seems to be, that's one thing that we have here. And what's likely to happen today, Robert? What's likely to happen if some of the antics that you talk about being played out yesterday might continue today?
Yeah, let me first clarify that the House wasn't empty. I mean, there was quite a number of members.
Yeah, there were. Yeah,
there were quite a number of members because it was really an important bill, and in fact, I can confirm that at least 20 members that were waiting to contribute that were queuing. Now, what happens is that the speaker's screen is not open to the public, but you can walk to the clerks and see.
Yeah,
and you can see the number of members. I mean, even the speaker who was officiating at that time kept saying, "My screen is full." That means members have queued, and for it to be full, that means it would have to have over 50 members that are visible. And still, despite that, somebody decides that we have to close debate. So sometimes it's not that members are absent on that, but on this particular one, members actually did turn up.
Yes,
because they were keen to contribute. But I'll also say there's a number of members who also want to avoid to be in the House under such times because, one, they, I guess, feel compromised because they want to support the government agenda, but they don't want to oppose the government agenda on the floor, but they don't deep inside support it. So you find the number, I mean, out of 349 members, you might, yesterday's motion was taken with about 50 members in the House. Now, ideally, if the debate was to take it, to go to a logical conclusion, and this is what you should do, I mean, as a House, I mean, if I was to officiate over the House, I would make it clear that as the debate proceeds, that we are headed towards the tail end. So let's prepare ourselves, because we will probably be doing the voting in the next 1 hour or so, so that you prepare members. And if you look at other parliaments, they do that. This business of ambushing, members, I think is a Kenyan style for the Kenyan executive. So it's not a worldwide practiced thing. Most other members worldwide know the time upon which they'll come to do their voting. So it's only as who members have contributed. It is 12:40 and it's almost lunchtime, and you say, well, as the debate proceeds, let me go have my lunch and come back. Maybe have a meeting in the office and come back by 2:30, and then immediately you leave. somebody rises and says, let's stop the debate and let's now put the question on the whole agenda, and it is taken like that, simply in 10 minutes. You know, they've already passed an important bill like this with 50 members. This one, the quorum was there. But I feel that it would have been fairer that we do such a motion and such a, such a question is put when the House has at least 200 members. We don't need to have either a standing order that supports that or even a constitutional, requirement. But it's just good practice. It actually shows discipline that we as a country can actually pass laws in a manner that shows confidence to the people that elected us, that we can be in the House on such an important motion. And then each of us are willing to stand with our decision. So we are willing to go to division and vote yes or no in the full glare of the public. So why do you want to your vote not to be known by the people that send you to parliament? I want the people to know my vote every single time, and there's never a time that my vote has not been known, because I will first articulate my position. I will say I support or I oppose. And then where possible, because some of these bills are not controversial, where there's a controversial bill, I'll make sure my voice will be heard. And that has happened throughout, even when we were in the handshake government. And former President Uhuru introduced an 8% VAT on fuel. I was deputy leader of the minority. I opposed the proposal and voted voted to oppose it, because I felt that the people that sent me to parliament had already expressed themselves to me that this thing will hurt them. And you know what happens whenever you increase the price of fuel. It's happening in Kenya now. So I said I would oppose it. So I think sometimes members have to understand that we also have a responsibility over the people that have elected us. And that's why it's important that as we take a vote, let the House look, and that's why you've said that it looked empty. It's true, basically, 50 out of 349 is what? Is
a fifth.
Something like that. Yeah, it's a fifth, actually. No, it's a seventh.
It's a seventh, actually.
It's a seventh, yeah. So I mean, look at that, and we are saying we are legislating, and we are.
I mean, Robert, and when you look at the bill at the moment, some of the contentious issues that do exist in there, like rightfully you said earlier, you talk about Mitumba, mobile phone, inputs in manufacturing. There is granting KRA powers to get into your details as well. You look at reducing punitive compliance penalties, that is on the side of KRA. And with all these issues that are being raised, are we likely to see these forming the major part of conversations today?
Yes, actually, I would say that the Committee of Finance, because we also have representation there. Yes. They have put up a spirited fight, our members, and proposed quite a number of amendments within the committee. And we are also proposing further amendments ourselves so that we can, and I said they will oppose our amendments. They say there's no tax on Mitumba. We are going for even all the other, even import duty. We'll go for it because they say there is no tax. You know, I mean, the minute you start a war, be ready to fight till the end. So we are going to say that we remove those taxes, because if you just say there's no tax, yet it is there, it is in the document. So if you've started that fight, we go all the way. The president said that people earning less than 30,000 shillings should not be paying any taxes. Yeah. And it is nowhere in the bill. You know, is somebody supposed to ask me where is that clause? Everybody heard the president. So, and it's a finance bill that makes real any promise that has a tax issue implication. So if the president did say that people earning less than 30,000 should not pay taxes, we are supposed to amend the income tax, the schedule of pay as you earn, so that it reflects the same. But we have not. It is not there.
Why wouldn't that be done?
Because these people are they're very good at fake promises. So the promises will be given, and then when we say we want this in the bill, you'll be asked what clause. The president spoke. He didn't quote a clause. He spoke in public. Every Kenyan heard.
And there are people who are banking on that promise,
of course,
to not be taxed if they earn under 30,000 shillings.
Of course.
And the only way that this can actually become a reality is if it is in the law.
Of course, that is it. And we've said that we'll propose it, and they will reject it. I know. We'll be saying, for the first time, we'll be saying yes, they'll be saying no.
But there is an explanation that has been given that by the time the president was giving that promise, the proposal already were in place, and that the cabinet secretary, together with the majority leader, I remember that statement. They said they would work around it and see to it that is achieved. But like we've rightfully just established, that can't happen without putting it in the law and addressing the tax measures within the law. That everything else that is being said is Kenyans being taken for a ride.
Of course it is. Okay, I'll admit it is possible that they can come to introduce another law later to make that adjustment. But this is the law that makes adjustments to tax matters. It is the same one that increased the pay as you earn to 35% in 2023. So why is it suddenly not the same law that you can use? And already it is undergoing public participation.
Yes.
All you have to do is, as a committee, is recommend and put it there. If the executive actually wanted to give relief to Kenyans earning less than 30,000, they would have done it. It is just like that. They would have just proposed an amendment and given it to the committee, and the committee would have actually proposed it as one of the amendments.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that there will be quite a number of amendments on the floor of the House that will try and get rid of some of these things and create clarity in some of them, because there's also a lot of ambiguity in the manner in which some of these things have been drafted, and the arguments and the counter arguments really sometimes you look at it and you wonder whether it is just semantics or it's real. You know, when we say they've imposed a tax on non-resident rental income, and they argue that there is no new tax, but if you read the law, it actually says that. So and then the increase on excise duty on phones to 25%, and they will argue and say, oh no, we've changed it somewhere else. We are trying to restructure it. But then when you look at this, it says that this will be implemented upon activation of the phone. Even the logic and the system behind it, I don't think they can explain, because this is something borrowed from places like the US. In the US, you don't go to a phone and buy a phone. I mean, to a shop and buy a phone. You actually buy a phone from phones are connected to the service providers.
Yes.
So in the US, you go and walk into a Safaricom or a Telcom shop or an Airtel shop. That's where you find phones. In Kenya, you go to the streets of Nairobi. Majority of the shops are selling phones. So how does that shopkeeper reactivate that phone there? Kenyans will just walk in, buy the phone, and walk out with it. KRA should tell us, how will they do if you go and buy a phone? How will they now come to tax you the 25%? Because they're saying it's not going to be taxed.
Once it's activated.
So how do they charge you? How do they? You don't activate it at the shop.
No, you don't.
You can
Rarely,
buy downtown. Are you going to activate it with the character who's selling it to you there? You pick your phone, you go, you just confirm that it's working. Then you go and put your SIM card at home. Now, activation is actually when you put that SIM card. You don't have to. So how will they even collect that tax? So there's a lot of things that they can't even explain themselves. So we've tried to clean up, and we'll be proposing amendments as we go on. We'll be debating with them, and where we can see eye to eye, we will. Where we don't, we will oppose them, and we will fight.
But when you're on the floor of the House and you're making your submissions, you've been given your time, and perhaps you are opposing a clause here, and there's still distraction that we continue to see. How do you go around it? Is there a possibility of prosecuting the matter and not being able to air out your views?
Yes, but the beauty is that once you're recognized by the speaker, your mic is the only one that is on.
Okay.
So basically what you say will be heard, and it will go unanswered. What the others will be shouting will not go unanswered. But of course, it's a very sometimes very chaotic situation that you can be in when you're introducing something they don't want to see, or you're opposing something that they are supporting. So sometimes it gets quite unruly.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday it got unruly when members even the whole of that vote was taken when the House was was disorderly,
Yeah.
which basically meant that no business should take place.
Should take place, yes.
Because the minute the house is disorderly, members are on their feet from both sides of the aisle, and they're walking around the mess. All sergeant at arms are protecting the mess. How then do you conduct business? And everybody is shouting. So I thought to myself, you show Kenyans a lot of drama. I mean, why would you pass it at that time? Why not just say, let's go for lunch, let's meet at 2:30. We prosecute this business when we have cooled down. But the attempt to rush the process means we don't care.
I hear you. But is there any give in this that we can say, okay, do you get to the point whereby both sides can agree that this actually should be removed, or this should be kept, or this should be edited a little bit so that it's a little bit more, consumable for people? Because at the end of the day, this is for people of Kenya. So I'm really keen to understand what then the process is for today. Or is it just a rush thing? Let's see, if you have an argument, doesn't matter, we toss it out the window, but we're going to conclude this today, no matter what? Or is there actually an appetite to see that the things that are being argued and debated on then are implemented? Because then the last 2 days would have been a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And in fact, I want you to, Kenyans should watch what happens today in Parliament, because every clause will actually be read out. And where there is amendments proposed, they will be discussed, they will be mentioned. Everybody who has a proposed amendment will be given an opportunity to prosecute it. So Kenyans should listen keenly so that the arguments and counter-arguments can be heard. So that at the end of the day, once we are making a decision on that clause, then Kenyans know what we have agreed on. If we were to decide to be decent with each other, we can actually do that process seamlessly. And we, I can assure you, my team and I are not going to be, unruly in any way. We're going to attempt to push through the amendments that will help our people, and we are going to support any amendment that is that takes away pain from our people, and we are going to oppose any proposal that imposes excessive taxes on our people. At the end of the day, Kenyans must know that this finance bill, even though the majority side wants to paint it as a very rosy, and they are trying to sugarcoat it. The intention is to raise more revenue from Kenyans. The intention is to tax you more. That's what must come out clearly. So we are looking for those areas where they are taxing you more. And we are saying, you don't have to tax us more. You are the ones who have come up with this excess budget. You should have cut the budget, cut your clothes according to your size. When you have a budget with a whole of 1.1 trillion, how do you run a country that way? So for us, and then you keep borrowing. They got into office and said if you're in a hole, stop digging. They've dug themselves completely underground. I mean, you can't even see them anymore. So for us, we will try our best, and we hope that today will be a decent day. The shouting, I hope, doesn't continue, because at the end of the day, also what happens that all of us, even whether you're on the side that is opposing, supporting, it also sends a message about us as a house. Yeah. And like you just said during break, I mean that it's an embarrassment to the country. The house becomes a laughingstock, and this parliament will probably go down in history as the worst ever since the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution. So I can tell you, I've been in the first two and I'm in this one, and I can tell you there's a huge difference. So I think how we manage ourselves today will send a picture to the Kenyans. And I want to urge my colleagues, let us be decent with each other, and stop innuendos and lies and castigating each other for nothing. Let us interpret the law as it is written. Yeah. Your understanding and mine might differ, but let's have mutual respect.
Yeah. We want to ask the question: what's the rush in concluding the matter today? Can this be allowed to go further beyond today for better understanding and dissemination of the matter at hand? Because we're talking about a serious document that needs time for proper execution. Why rush through it today?
There's time, because I mean, with the month is right in the middle. Another week or so would not hurt anybody. Yeah. And I can tell you that that yesterday at 1 o'clock is when we put the question.
Yes. Yeah.
And today we are supposed to have drafted all our amendments, and I mean, and you are looking at all these laws. You have to look at your VAT Act. You have to look at your income tax. You have to, your income tax. You have to look at, tax procedures so that you can know how to deal with KRA and what they are proposing. So all those, within a span of, you start the debate you finish the debate and put a question at 1, and in the morning of the next day, there is an order paper having the committee of the whole house and amendments already proposed. So that means our amendments, most of them will be blocked out.
Yeah.
So we will try and even present them even on the floor. Because, it is possible that if it makes sense, the speaker can allow. We'll take our amendments even to the floor and hope that they accept them and we move together, because the only proposed amendments that can really have found their way within that short period would be the ones that were proposed by the committee, which were drafted. They started this business long time ago.
Yes.
And so they proposed their amendments when they were meeting with the public. As we have finished debate and it's only now that we can know what is it you had proposed. And you also need to know what they have proposed as you come to propose yours. You don't know their amendments, so how do you because you might be proposing an amendment in vain that they've already proposed. So it's better to support the amendment if it does what you want it to do. So I think the rushed process is one of the gimmicks. I don't know what they are scared of, but maybe they don't want this to be on the table when the when the anniversary for the Gen Z revolution comes. That is 25th of June.
Already.
So they want this done and dusted and forgotten. I think that's the intention.
Well, it's interesting because it's very clear that this will definitely not be forgotten. And as it goes back into debate today, it's like wait and see. It is important because it's how the country will spend its money in the next year. The Honourable Robert Mbui is the MP for Ktnnews constituency, has been our guest this hour. Thank you for being here with us. And good luck as you start the session this morning. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Asante Sana, good morning. It's 8 a.m.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.